Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're tackling a phenomenon that, honestly, almost every single one of us has experienced at some point. Have you ever met someone, or hey, maybe you realize you are this someone, who constantly talks about big dreams, chasing success, generating wealth, and living a completely different life? They imagine it so clearly, they completely believe they're capable of it. But somehow, year after year, literally nothing changes. Well, today, we are going to unpack the psychology of why people with massive ambitions often find themselves completely stuck. It turns out, psychology says this isn't just a simple matter of laziness. There are deep, hidden reasons behind this paralysis, and we're going to break them all down for you.
Okay, let's dive into this. Do you dream big but never act? It's a really direct question, and yeah, it can sting a little bit to answer honestly. So often we beat ourselves up assuming we just lack willpower or that we're fundamentally lazy. But what if I told you that your own brain is basically running a highly sophisticated con job on you? To really understand why we stay stuck, we have to transition away from simply blaming laziness and look at the actual psychological mechanisms at play here. Section 1. The Big Dreamer Illusion. You see, your brain is an incredibly powerful organ, right? But it's also highly susceptible to being tricked. In fact, it has this clever way of tricking us into feeling incredibly accomplished without us ever leaving the couch. Confusing the fantasy of success with actual progress is the very first major trap we fall into. People who dream big don't lack ambition at all. The real problem is that they completely misinterpret their brain's internal signals. We just blur the lines between the fantasy in our heads and the physical reality of moving the needle.
Let's break down exactly why that happens. In psychology, simply imagining your success gives your brain a very real sense of achievement. When you sit there picturing your future business or your ideal body or your perfect life, your brain actually releases small amounts of satisfaction. We're talking literal dopamine hits. It is essentially rewarding you for just daydreaming. And what happens when you already feel satisfied? Well, it completely kills your drive to start the real work. The urgency just evaporates because, chemically speaking, your brain feels like you've already won.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 2. Fake progress and hidden fear.
Once our brain is fully satisfied with the fantasy, a much darker, self-preserving emotion steps in to make sure we never ruin that illusion. Our deep-seated fears actively begin to masquerade as motivation. The ambition is genuinely present, for sure, but there is a massive fear of failure hiding right underneath it. Think about it. Actually trying and failing risks severely damaging your self-image. Your brain deeply prefers the absolute safety of a perfect, unexecuted plan over the messy, chaotic reality of potentially falling flat on your face. As long as you stay forever in the planning phase, your dream remains untouched, flawless, and completely perfect. But here is the heavy truth that shatters that perfect dream. Action requires becoming someone different. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. To achieve those massive dreams, the current version of you has to change. This creates a severe psychological conflict between who we are right now in our super comfortable state and who our lofty goals absolutely demand us to be.
And this brilliantly illustrates how a misaligned identity actively sabotages us. Our internal beliefs completely dictate our reality. If you secretly hold the internal belief that I'm not disciplined, your psychological reality is that your brain will actively resist actions that don't match that self-view. If you secretly think I never finish things, your mind will actually struggle against taking consistent action. Your brain hates cognitive dissonance. It will physically stop you from acting just to prove your hidden insecurities right. Crazy, right?
Section 3. The Perfectionism Tact.
So once we're afraid of failing and struggling with our identity, we fall into this exhausting, endless loop of waiting for the stars to perfectly align before we take a single step. It's almost comical how we do this to ourselves. We tell ourselves we're just waiting for the perfect time. But the psychological reality, that perfect time never, ever arrives. There was always a reason to wait. We convince ourselves that we need to feel fully ready before starting, but psychology shows us the exact opposite is true. Readiness usually comes after taking action, not before. You literally have to take the messy first step, and the feeling of being ready catches up with you later.
But instead of taking that messy action, we fall into the overthinking cycle. Let me walk you through these draining mental steps. Step 1, we think deeply about every single step and possibility. Step 2, we analyze every single potential outcome, completely terrified of making a mistake. Step 3, this constant churning analysis literally drains all of our available mental energy, which leads us to step 4,
We feel completely exhausted and way too tired to start. So we do nothing. You are literally wearing yourself out before the actual work even begins.
Section 4. Addicted to potential.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it introduces the final and perhaps the most difficult psychological barrier of them all. We aren't addicted to effort, we're addicted to the shimmering, exciting possibility of the future. We love the idea of who we could be. I mean, talking about big dreams feels amazing. It creates a sense of possibility, a new identity, and the high of future success. But clinging to that idea is often just a defense mechanism to avoid facing who you are right now. Looking in the mirror at your current habits, your current bank account, or your current skill level is incredibly uncomfortable. So we retreat right back into the comfortable addiction of our potential. But we have to wake up to this harsh reality. Real progress is repetitive, slow, and often uncomfortable. Let me just say that again for the people in the back. It is repetitive, it is slow, it is uncomfortable. The actual path to success isn't glamorous at all. It's mostly hard, boring, everyday work. And because our brains are addicted to the shiny, exciting dopamine hits of daydreaming, we totally rebel against the boring reality of actually doing the work. Section 5. The reality of action. So, the crucial point is this. As we bring this explainer to a close, it's time to bring together all of these psychological insights, the illusion of progress, the hidden fears, the perfectionism, and the addiction to potential, and deliver a final, empowering message about what it actually takes to move forward. Having big dreams isn't rare. Millions of people have them. Turning them into reality is what's rare. And the difference isn't talent. It's not about being born with some special gift. It is simply the ability to act even when your mind is actively working against you. It's recognizing that your brain wants to keep you safe, comfortable in daydreaming, and then choosing to take action anyway.
Which leaves me with one final provocative question for you to ponder today. Are you ready to give up your potential for actual progress? Are you willing to trade that safe, perfect, exciting daydream in your head for the slow, messy, totally uncomfortable reality of actually doing the work? Understanding the psychology is the first step. The next step is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.